As one of the most influential guitarists in music history, Eric Clapton's career is defined not just by his solo work, but by his frequent reinvention through a series of iconic bands. From the raw blues rock of the Yardbirds to the psychedelic, virtuosic jams of Cream and the soulful, deeply personal sound of Derek and the Dominoes, Clapton has consistently pushed the boundaries of rock and blues. This video explores the fascinating journey of Slowhand, tracing his musical evolution through the various groups that shaped his sound and cemented his legacy as a true guitar god. The Roosters. After leaving school at 17, Eric Clapton joined his first professional band, the Roosters, in early 1963. Casey Jones and the Engineers. After the Roosters, Eric Clapton had a brief stint with the pop group Casey Jones and the Engineers, before he was recruited by the Yardbirds in late 1963. The Yardbirds. Eric Clapton's tenure with the Yardbirds was a significant but brief period in his career, lasting from October 1963 to March 1965. During this time, the band's other members included Keith Relf on vocals and harmonica, Chris Draja on rhythm guitar, Paul Samuel Smith on bass, and Jim McCarty on drums. A blues purist, Clapton was instrumental in establishing the band's reputation as a top rhythm and blues act on the London music scene. The band's notable recordings with Clapton include Good Morning Little Schoolgirl and I Wish You Would. However, his most famous recording with the band was the single, For Your Love.
Good morning, little schoolgirl. Good morning, little schoolgirl. In the morning by break of day. That's when my baby went away. I'd give you everything and more, and that's for sure.
Clapton famously left the Yardbirds because he was dissatisfied with the band's move toward a more commercial, pop-oriented sound. John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers. During his time with the Bluesbreakers, members included John Mayall on vocals, keyboards, harmonica, and guitar, John McVie on bass, Jack Bruce on bass, and Huey Flint on drums. John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers songs featuring Eric Clapton include I'm Your Witch Doctor, Key to Love, and Lonely Years.
Hey, 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 your witch doctor. I'm so bad, baby, when I find the key to love.
Eric Clapton and the Powerhouse. Eric Clapton and the Powerhouse was a very brief studio project in 1966. The musicians in the band were Steve Winwood on vocals and keyboard, Paul Jones on harmonica, Jack Bruce on bass, Pete York on drums, and Eric Clapton on guitar. The group was assembled by American record producer Joe Boyd to record a few songs for an Elektra Records compilation album, What's Shakin', alongside The Loving Spoonful, that featured the Powerhouse songs Crossroads, Stepping Out, and I Wanna Know.
I went down to the crossroads, fell down on my knees. I want to know, why do you always run around?
Cream. Eric Clapton was a member of the rock supergroup Cream from 1966 to 1968, which he formed with bassist Jack Bruce and drummer Ginger Baker. Clapton's role was primarily lead guitarist, though he also contributed vocals and songwriting. He was a pioneer of the guitar hero archetype and was instrumental in popularizing the use of the Gibson SG and the wah-wah pedal. While Bruce and Baker were the main songwriters, Clapton co-wrote several key tracks, including Sunshine of Your Love, Strange Brew, SWLABR, White Room, and Badge.
Be with you when the storm does Strange brew, do what's inside of you. Coming to me in the morning. You said no strings could secure you at the station. And I'm thinking of the love that you laid on my table.
Cream broke up due to the intense animosity and constant feuding between Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker, which made it difficult to work together. Despite their short existence, Cream had a monumental impact on rock music, pioneering the genres of heavy metal and progressive rock, and influencing countless bands that followed. The Dirty Mac. Eric Clapton's time in the band The Dirty Mac was very brief, as it was a one-off supergroup assembled for a single performance. The band existed only in December 1968 for the filming of a TV special, The Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus. The band's name, thought of by Lennon, was a play on that of Fleetwood Mac. The other musicians in the Dirty Mac were John Lennon on vocals and rhythm guitar, Keith Richards on bass, and Mitch Mitchell on drums. The band was created specifically for this TV special, and the group disbanded after their performance as planned. The Dirty Mac performed 2 songs, Your Blues, a John Lennon composition from the Beatles' White Album, and Whole Lotta Yoko, an improvised blues jam featuring Yoko Ono on vocals and violinist Ivry Gitlis.
I'm lonely, wanna die.
Plastic Ono Band. Eric Clapton was a member of the Plastic Ono Band for a very brief period in 1969. His involvement was primarily for a single impromptu performance with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. The band's classic lineup for this performance, known as the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, included John Lennon on lead vocals and rhythm guitar, Eric Clapton on lead guitar and backing vocals, Klaus Voormann on bass, Alan White on drums, and, unfortunately, Yoko Ono on vocals. The band's performance, captured on the album Live Peace in Toronto 1969, included covers like Blue Suede Shoes and Dizzy Miss Lizzy, as well as Lennon's then-current single, Cold Turkey, and his iconic anthem, Give Peace a Chance.
3 to get ready now, go Jack, go, don't step on my blue suede. Love me before I grow too old. I wish I was there, Cold Turkey. Everybody talking about John and Yoko, Eric Clapton, Klaus Voormann, Kenny Ness, Roosevelt, Dixon, Tommy Jordan.
The Toronto concert was a one-off event that Clapton was invited to participate in, and his contribution was essentially a favor to his friend John Lennon. They also released one studio-recorded single, Cold Turkey, in 1969 featuring Clapton on guitar and Ringo Starr on drums. Blind Faith. Eric Clapton was a part of the supergroup Blind Faith for a single, but highly impactful year in 1969. The band was formed with a lineup of rock royalty that included Steve Winwood on vocals and keyboards, Ginger Baker on drums, Rick Gretsch on bass and violin, and Clapton on lead guitar. Blind Faith's self-titled and only studio album included songs like Presence of the Lord and Had to Cry Today, which Clapton co-wrote and sang lead vocals on. The album also featured the classic hits Can't Find My Way Home and Sea of Joy, both written by Steve Winwood.
Everybody knows the secret. There's already reached me, but you want to waste it, and I get my way home. See your door.
The album cover for Blind Faith was a source of major controversy. The original artwork, created by photographer Bob Sideman, featured a topless 11-year-old girl. The cover was widely criticized as being exploitative and was banned in the United States, where the album was released with a different cover. Clapton left Blind Faith shortly after their U.S. tour. During the tour, Clapton spent more time with the opening act, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. Delaney and Bonnie. Eric Clapton's time with the American rock soul duo Delaney and Bonnie and Friends lasted from 1969 to 1970. He was initially drawn to them when they opened for his supergroup, Blind Faith. During Clapton's tenure, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends included Future Derek and the Dominoes members Bobby Whitlock on keyboards, Carl Rattle on bass, and Jim Gordon on drums. Other notable Delaney and Bonnie contributors during Clapton's tenure included Leon Russell, George Harrison, and Dave Mason. Clapton's most significant contribution during this period was his role on the live album On Tour with Eric Clapton. Clapton left the band in 1970 to form his own group Derek and the Dominoes. Derek and the Dominoes. Eric Clapton's time in Derek and the Dominoes was brief, lasting from the spring of 1970 to May 1971. The core members of the band were Bobby Whitlock on keyboards and vocals, Carl Rattle on bass, and Jim Gordon on drums. Dave Mason and Duane Allman also joined the band as guest guitarists during the recording of their album. Clapton was credited with singing and writing several of the band's hit songs, including Layla and Bell Bottom Blues. He also co-wrote other songs on the album, such as Tell the Truth and Why Does Love Got to Be So Sad?
I don't wanna play away. Give me one. Tell the truth. Why does love got to be so sad?
The band's only studio album, Layla, and Other Assorted Love Songs, reached number 16 of the Billboard 200, and the Pattie Boyd-inspired Layla reached number 12 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. The reasons for the band's breakup include internal conflicts, drug and alcohol use, and personal difficulties. The band dissolved in 1971. Eric Clapton solo. Eric Clapton's solo career began in 1971 after the breakup of his band Derek and the Dominoes. Clapton was encouraged to compose songs as a solo artist, while touring as a sideman with Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. Eric Clapton's prolific solo career has seen the release of countless classic singles, including Lay Down Sally, Cocaine, Wonderful Tonight, I Shot the Sheriff, Change the World, Knockin' on Heaven's Door, After Midnight, My Father's Eyes, Tears in Heaven, and the 1992 acoustic re-release of Layla.
Leave so soon. I've been trying all night long to talk to you. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine. Nancy, yes, you look wonderful tonight. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot no deputy. Change the world. I would be the somebody. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang. When I don't get my father's eyes, would you know my name? If I saw you in heaven, what will you do when you get lonely? No one waiting by your side.
Clapton's solo work often reflected a more laid-back style influenced by artists like J.J. Cale and Bob Marley to explore his roots, releasing several blues-focused albums. Eric Clapton now. Clapton holds a significant place in the history of rock music. Eric Clapton is the only three-time inductee to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist and as a member of both the Yardbirds and Cream. Clapton is considered one of the most important and influential guitarists of all time, with his distinctive style of blues-based rock widely imitated by other guitarists. Clapton continues to record and release music, with his latest album, Meanwhile, released in 2024. That's the end of our deep dive into the many incantations of Eric Clapton. From group efforts to solo projects to one-off encounters, Eric Clapton has done it all. What are your thoughts on the prolific career of Eric Clapton? Do you refer to Clapton as Slowhand or find yourself using the phrase, Clapton is God? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Please like and subscribe for more exciting features on your favorite artists and entertainers. And you can watch this additional informative video from What's the Story right now.